Hello, heathens. Thank you so much for joining me. So today, I thought I was going to do a kind of a mid-month video first, but then I was like, no, you know what? I did a reading vlog, and I really want to talk exclusively about the 3 brand new releases that I have been anticipating, that I could not wait to get my grubby hands on, that I have also read. And these were all released in the month of March, and I've read them in the month of March. That is an absolute record. Cheer. I really need a cheering machine. I feel I should have that in life, just as I'm walking down the road. You know, do you ever get that where you hear a soundtrack in your head? Mainly the Saturday Night Live, you know, Saturday Night Fever, John Schwartz. Okay, never mind. But I was very excited that I actually got to these as they were released. And probably the reason I did get to them is they are 3 of my all-time favourite authors. So I really couldn't wait to read their books. And the 3 books I'm going to be talking about are Fable, At the End of the World. No, it's for... I don't know why I keep saying at. I'm so sorry, Ava Reid. It's Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reid. And I have this beautiful signed Waterstones edition. Then I have Death Valley by Karina, Halle. Yes, I'm aware. And then we have This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. Like I said, 3 of my all-time favourite authors. If we start with, let's start with Miss Ava Reid, because Ava Reid has written one of my just Satan tier favourite books, Juniper and Thorn. And this is the brand new release. So this one, and I would say that this is a great comp for if you like the Hunger Games, because it has those dystopian Hunger Games vibes to it. So what we have in this book is a dystopian world in the future. It's kind of like a drown world. People, you have the people that have, and this kind of corporation that's in charge, and this ruling class, and then you have the rest of the people that have nothing. And it's very modern in the sense that instead of like physical money, you accrue credits and tokens like Bitcoiny in your account that this corporation owns. So everything you buy, everything you need these tokens in your account in order to purchase things and in order to, well, live and survive. And if you go too far into the red, into debt, you have to pay that back somehow. And the way they do that, friendly folk, is they have this contest called the Lamb's Gauntlet. And what they do is the person that is in debt, usually, or someone they nominate to do it for them, nice person, that if friends like that, you don't need enemies, because the Lamb's Gauntlet is basically sending you out on this course. It's a very Hunger Games style. And then they have these, what they call angels, who are basically assassins. And these women are, they are human, but they're almost like part cyborg in a way. They're kind of, their brains have been modified, their bodies have been modified, and they are essentially kind of killing machines, but they're very pretty. And this whole thing gets televised. These angels chase the lamb on this Lamb's Gauntlet and kill that person. So that's why I'm saying, if someone nominates you to do that, yeah, you may want to rethink that friendship. So it is, first of all, that whole idea is fascinating. It makes you think in a million different ways. You know, it has so many parallels to today's world in terms of like corporations ruling us and, you know, currency and what is a life worth. And then the central story in this is a sapphic love story as well. So you have our 2 main characters, one whose mother has accrued a whole bunch of debt, and guess who the mother nominates to do the gauntlet? Our main character. And the angel that has to chase her. And you find out all these different things about them, their past, their present, as they're going through the gauntlet, and how these 2 kind of connect. And it is beautiful. It is Ava Reid, so it is so beautifully written. It's dark, but there's also that kind of beauty around it. There's this gorgeous relationship between our 2 main characters. Like I said, this whole storyline, this whole setup, I feel really makes you think. It's really emotional. Like I said, if you like Hunger Games, I think you'll very much like this. It's kind of got that dark romance vibes, but in a very soft dystopian, almost, I think this book is classed as YA, but I do also think that anybody can enjoy it. It's so good. I loved it. It was another Ava Reid favorite. And if we go with my new rating system, actually, have I posted that video yet? Oh well, we'll just go with my new rating system. So in another video, I was saying I kind of rate things in food. So this would be a 4.5-star read for me. So steak and fries dinner, cheesecake for dessert, a nice old-fashioned alongside it. That's the kind of thing that this book does for me. It was great. I loved it. Was not disappointed. Then the next book, Death Valley by Karina, Halle. Okay, how many times can I say that? So I love Karina Halle. She is fast becoming one of my all-time favorite authors, one of my favorite indie authors. And she writes in so many different genres, but they're all so good. So a lot of it is romance, a lot of it is dark romance, but she does sort of real world, she does paranormal. And this one, the last book I read of hers was Grave Matter. Actually, no, it was, well, one of the last books I read of hers was Grave Matter, which I loved, which had like a mystery element to it, but also supernatural elements to it, like sci-fi elements to it. And this kind of falls into that same category. So we have an FBI agent. We find at the beginning of the story that she's kind of on leave from the FBI, and she is basically obsessed with the disappearance of her sister. Her sister disappeared. They never really figured out what happened to her, and she is determined to find out what happened to her sister because everybody else has kind of given up. And she finds out that her sister went to this place. Is it Montana? It's in the it's on a rock. There's mountains. I'm trying to remember. So this is vaguely based. Well, the roots of this are in the Donner Party. So the Donner Party, that was a real event that happened in American history. This group was stranded out in the middle of nowhere, and they ended up having to eat the people because there was nothing else to eat. So it's kind of based on that premise. So you kind of know where we're going. And her sister in this story was obsessed by the Donner Party. And then there's some, we get, I don't want to give too much away because it's so good. But so there's that. So keep that in mind. In the background, there's also a scene in the beginning that's really interesting about this baby that's being born within the Donner Party. And one of the girls has to kind of run away with it because like the rest of the family wants to eat the baby. So her sister's always had this kind of fascination with it. And she knows that she went to this ranch and she hired Jensen, who is our main male character, who's fantastic. You know, he's a cowboy. He does these he takes tourists out on the trails. And he owns this ranch. And so she goes out there to basically ask for his help in almost retracing or kind of trying to figure out if her sister went out here, you know, can they find any clues? And it is their love story. It's fabulous. There's a lovely bit of spice in here. I love a cowboy, but our cowboy has secrets as well. So there's some secrets going on there. You also have this whole kind of mystery around what happened to her sister. How does the Donner Party and their family history kind of play into this? It was so damn good. It was like, this is like a dark paranormal romance for horror readers, because if you like horror, you will love this. I loved it. This is a 5-star read for me. I've gone to my Michelin star restaurant. I've got the menu out. I am having my 5 courses. I've got my champagne over there. I know the dessert trolley is going to get raided at the end of the night. This was just so great. I had such a great time reading this. Super fun. Like I said, the paranormal, the horror elements, the creepiness, the romance, the cowboys. I can't remember what the comp was. Something like Yellowstone meets like a horror. It's good. It's so good. This woman does not miss. I love this. Hugely recommend if you like any of that. And then the last new release I read was This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. And this bloody book. When I said this book had me in a chokehold, I could not put it down. I would have read this in one day if I didn't have to actually eat, sleep, and work. I read it in like 2.5 days because I was just obsessed with it. I needed to know how this ended. So this combines, again, so many things that I love. First of all, I love Ashley Winstead. I have never read an Ashley Winstead book I didn't like, and I'll be doing a whole Ashley Winstead video soon because I've read all her books that are currently out. So this is a thriller / mystery, but it also incorporates two of my favorite things, podcasts and true crime. So, and memoirs actually. So this book is written as a memoir of a girl, Janeway. If anybody's a Star Trek fan, you're going to love this because there are so many Star Trek references. And yes, her father did call her Janeway after Captain Janeway. Janeway, our main character, Jane, she, after the death of her father, she's kind of lost. She's trying to figure things out. She's trying to figure out the mystery of who her father was. But in her sort of haze, she goes online and she stumbles upon one of these kind of true crime like sites where people talk about, they talk a bit like Reddit. I mean, Reddit is mentioned in here, but like one of these like subreddits, true crime.net, they call it in this book, where people go online, they discuss true crimes, they try and solve them. And this book is her kind of memoir of her talking us through how that started, how she met the 4 people that they then formed like a little investigative group, what happened. And really the central thing is they got involved, they investigated a incredibly high profile case of these college students that were massacred in their house. And they as a group were like, online sleuthing, crime, this is what we do, we are going to solve this case. And there's a whole bunch of shit that went down. And she's kind of telling her side of the story. So this is so interesting in so many different ways. You have that kind of memoir style. And I really had to check myself going, this is not real. I need to stop Googling this case. But if you read Ashley Winstead's author notes and notes in the front and the back, she did a lot of research into true crime and you really, and like true crime and like amateur sleuths. And you really kind of get that from, it can take you through how it's so fascinating how they go about investigating stuff, looking at people's social media. This is set in 2024, so very current, sifting through photos, requesting records, looking through DNA, all of this stuff. Really fascinating, really pulls that curtain back on that kind of true crime sleuthing, amateur sleuthing community. They also reference, and again, Ashley Winstead said she's referencing a particular case that did happen in Iowa. It was Iowa, yeah. A particular case that was similar, this massacre of these college students. It's obviously not a retelling of that, but it does kind of, some of the roots of that case are in here. They do mention real kind of cases and real sleuths. And there's like little footnote sections, which I love a footnote. Nevernight's one of my favorite books of all time ever. And that has footnotes. I love footnotes. I love this. But what Ashley Winstead also says is this is very much a meditation on grief and how people handle grief. And that absolutely comes across. And she had her own grief to deal with when she was writing this book. And for anyone that's ever lost anyone, it does weird shit to your head. I did some bizarre things. Some people drink, some people shop, some people, it's like, how do you cope with that? How do you cope with the legacy of the person that's passed away? In this case, it's Janeway's father, all of those things. And she's trying to, alongside the cases that she's working, she's also trying to unravel his life and his kind of like who he was. But this is so, so good. The end, I will say, the one thing I will say, I was like, I wonder if, okay, that is actually, so I guess the bad guy. But it's just, damn, it's good. It's so good. I really didn't want to sleep. I did not want to put this book down. And if you like any of those, if you're into true crime, if you're into the sort of the more podcast style, absolutely read this. This is a 6-star read for me again. Like this is I went to the Michelin star restaurant. I had everything that was on their menu. I drank their entire cocktail bar dry, and Charlie Hunnam was serving me the cocktails in nothing but an apron and a smile. Yeah. Little insight into my fantasies. So those 3 hugely recommend. I'm currently reading, if you want to know, so that especially This Book Will Bury Me kind of got me into, I want to go back to all my kind of true crime podcasty style books, because I've got a few, and I'll do an actual whole video on that, because again, me in a rabbit hole, right? So I'm actually listening. I've got the book, but I'm listening to the audiobook of Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. I know this was really popular end of last year, just hadn't gotten to it, and I finally got the audiobook for it. I mean, I hugely recommend the audiobook, because the audiobook is so well done, because this very much has a podcast element as well, and you're trying to figure out what happened in this crime via the podcast. So I love it. I'm halfway through, and I'd highly recommend the audiobook. It's very well done. Then the other one I'm reading, I don't have it here because it's at my bed, but it's called, it's part of the 6 Stories book series, so by Matt Wesolowski, I think his name is, and this one is called The Beast, and it has a bit of a vampire thing going on. I mean, I'm sure there's not an actual vampire because these are all real world stuff, but it's good, so I'll talk about that, and then there's a few more. And then I'm also reading Kid by Jessie Hall. I am obsessed with this book. This book is 100% a character-driven book. It's this gorgeous, gorgeous, emotional, dark romance between 2 messed up people, one of which, Johanna, has my real name, and I now want to make her my entire personality. And Kid, or Kai, this is, I am obsessed. This is my first Jessie Hall. I've got all her books in my basket, and I'm ready to hit buy because I've got one of hers on my shelf, but oh my goodness, I haven't read Hawk, so I feel like you need to read Hawk before this, but this is just, oh, it's taking me on an absolute emotional roller coaster. Dark romance at its best, massively triggering for drugs. Okay, this whole book is just saturated with drug taking. So if that's something that you avoid, do not even touch this book. But if it's not a problem for you, this is amazing. I'll talk more about this in my wrap up. Again, I'm like just past halfway. Love it. So those are my recs. Let me know if you've read any of those. Let me know if you have any recommendations. I'll speak to you all very soon. Bye bye.